I really am not making this video to upset anyone or to ridicule you or to simply make you look like you're, dumb. I'm just here to call out the facts as I see it, as somebody born and bred in Britain. This video is directed towards the Persian, the Iranian monarchists, and anyone who sympathizes with the fight against oppression. There are monarchists in Trafalgar Square holding the monarchist flag, but also simultaneously holding the flag of the Zionist entity of Israel. And this is a great disservice to whatever cause you believe in. Now, from the onset, I believe, your cause is moot. It's not justifiable. It's not morally justifiable, and it's not rooted in truth. Unfortunately, a great deal of Iranian monarchists believe that they are Western, or they're white, or they're Indo-European, or they are some sort of ethnicity that separates them from, not only separates them from the Middle East, but makes them more akin to that of the Europeans. This to me is laughable. As somebody born and bred in the UK, white is as white. White is white basically. Look at Reza Pahlavi. He's not white. He's brown. If you start to go down the road of ethnic purity, ethnic supremacy, you're going to be hitting a wall, because there are people in this country that do care more deeply about ethnic purity and racial supremacy, and they align themselves with European supremacy, and they can see you quite clearly, and you're not white. Well, you're not Western. No, I understand. I align myself with Western values. Don't get me wrong. I align myself with justice, democracy, the freedom, creative expression, self-expression, self-actualization, and non-alignment with religious and this patriarchal kind of structures within society. But you have to understand that you are aligning yourself with the kind of the oppressive structures of Zionism, which is an ethno-supremacist project, which itself is completely divergent from the Enlightenment principles of liberal democracies. It is in a way a copy of the ethno-supremacy of Nazism, but obviously it's its own form of ethno-supremacy, and this is at odds with the commitment to a right to justice, rights to independence of thought, of individuality. Because of course, once you start thinking of people as these tribalistic groups, you are setting yourself back philosophically, morally, ethically, and you're no longer part of the stream of Enlightenment thinkers. You are simply another tribalist using the rhetoric of a Western culture, of Western supremacy, of the advancements of technology. Of course, the West does not have the kind of the foremost ownership, and is not the very cream of the crop when it comes to technology these days. Of course, look at China, look at Japan. But clearly, you can see that we are starting to see kind of the argument fall apart. You are not white, you're not Western, and of course I align myself with the kind of values of justice, of freedom, of liberal democracy. And here's a crux of the issue. The kind of King Cyrus the Great, he embodied the values that were prior to the Enlightenment period, and this is why you should take pride in Iranian culture and Iranian religion, whilst not aligning yourself with the Western culture that came after the Enlightenment of Iran. King Cyrus the Great believed in freedom of religion, freedom. He freed the Jews from captivity in Babylon. He freed people from the shackles of dogmatic, empire, and he was a strong leader, but he was he was a humanitarian in the end. He had values that were, were cutting edge compared to the rest of Western kind. So you shouldn't try to pretend that you're white. Nobody can, obviously everyone can see that you're not white. You're not, you're not European. First of all, the whole entity of, whiteness or blackness, these are all social constructs to begin with. There was a time when white was precisely about being white Anglo-Saxon. This is why Irish people, Italian people were not considered white for the longest time. And, obviously the term has become more broad, but clearly, it means skin color, and it clearly means you're of European descent. The moment you start aligning yourself and pretending that you are white, this is where it becomes a bit funny and hilarious. Now, obviously, even people of North Indian heritage, they can pass off as being a Mediterranean, but the idea that North Indians would be white is, and there are people out there with inferiority complexes that consider that and align themselves with being white. But I'm thinking, why not just align yourself with your own authenticity? Why not just be yourself? Why not try to, embody the principle? It's not the dog in the fight, it's the fight in the dog. It doesn't matter what you're born as in the world. It's about making the best of your abilities, your tools, your capacity, the fight within you, and your intelligence, of your creativity, rather than simply falling back on some predetermined, preconceived, and prejudiced views. So I'm here to really lend a hand. I'm here to be a friend, and I do see the confusion. I do see the, but it's ultimately a misjudgment. And it's a moral misjudgment leading to your alignment with Zionism, which is deeply, deeply unfortunate. Now, I don't support the Ayatollah Khamenei and the Islamic fundamentalism, but at the same time, you cannot simply deny that vast swaths of Iranian society do believe in the Islamic Revolution. They do believe in the leadership. This is quite clear. This is why the vast majority of the loudest voices against the regime are outside the country. Now, obviously, there are freedoms that are being stamped out, but at the same time, expecting another country like the US, known for its illegal wars, its complete carpet bombing of civilian infrastructure in Iraq, and supporting of Israel, which has committed a genocide which is ongoing. They're still bombing Gaza, despite the fact that they're on a ceasefire. This is a fight that Israel was supposed to have against Hamas in Gaza, but now they're just carte blanche, just attacking West Bank. And the Palestinian citizens of Israel, the 48ers, people who were living there prior to the creation of this fake, violent ethno-state. But the moment you align yourself with Zionism is the moment that you lose all moral credibility, and you start becoming like a little cult. And I don't want you to become a cult. I want you to align yourself with your true freedom and your true expression and your true authenticity, and to not fall into the trap of being a tool, a chess piece, a gammon, a cannon fodder for the imperialist entity and their propagandist rhetoric. Anyways, follow me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated. Thank you.